What is up, team? This is Yamilet, and today's video is actually an exciting one. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Feker Alice 98 mechanical keyboard. I've been wanting an Alice layout keyboard for such a long time, and when I came across this one, I knew I had to get it. The Feker Alice 98 mechanical keyboard is an Ergo Alice layout with a numpad and isolated arrow keys. It is truly one-of-a-kind keyboard geared towards those seeking the ultimate typing experience. Currently, there are two versions of this keyboard that come in two different colors. There is a dark chocolate and a beige color. Both versions do include a media knob, which is awesome to see. However, one version has an LED screen, which you can customize and change your own memes, check the connection status, as well as see the time and date at a quick glance. The second version does not have an LED screen. This is actually replaced by page up and page down keys. The difference in price for both of these versions is about $10, which honestly isn't bad at all. Also, I do want to note that I did buy this keyboard with my own money. I purchased this off of Whatgeek. With the LED screen, it retailed for about $209. However, Whatgeek is currently having a sale, bringing the price down to $179.99. Additionally, if you do use the code WGSS10, you can get an extra 10% off. This code is available on their website. I have no affiliation. If you are interested in the keyboard, highly recommend buying it now. And let's see what is inside. So first things first, you can see that we have a plastic dust cover, which is awesome. I love it when keyboards actually come with a plastic cover versus that like styrofoamy bag. This is great because I know this is going to be protected. Next thing you'll notice that we actually have some switches. I'm not entirely sure what type of switches these are. I was trying to look at that and do some research, but I didn't find anything. It seems like on the actual switch itself, it says Feker. So I'm not exactly sure if these are Feker brand switches. I'm going to assume that they are. They sound pretty cool. I think this pink one is a little bit silent, so let's hear that. I think the green one sounds really good. All right, so this is editing Yamilet here, and I was able to find the switches. These are Feker pre-lubed 3-pin linear switches. You get a mint green and you also get a silent pink. As I mentioned before, both of these switches are linear. It seems like both have an actuation force of 30, but the green one bottoms out at 42 versus the pink bottoms out at 45. Both are made out of palm material, which is great. The pink ones are silent though, which are not necessarily my favorite. I actually did like the green, so I might actually try those out. All right, let's get back to the video. I think that would be really cool to have. The pink one is more of a silent switch, to be honest. I know that's like the biggest trend right now. Personally, I'm not a fan of silent switches, but it's cool that they actually added these here. I will definitely like to do more research on that. All right, so I'm going to actually take the keyboard out because I want to make sure that I give it enough attention that she deserves. So I'm going to take her out and then I'm going to look at what else we have in here. So we got a couple of stuff here. It looks like there's a guarantee in here and then a certification of approval. Cool. You get your little user manual, which is always great to see. We'll look at that. And then you get your box in here. So I know that this comes with a spiraled, I guess you could call it, USB cord, and it does, which is awesome. So that looks like that. Pretty cool. I'm not exactly sure if I'll use that. Maybe I will, but that's awesome. And then you get your switch puller, which is also pretty cool to see. And then you get your keycap puller, which is also pretty cool. It's cool that they actually separated that. And then there's one more thing in here. And then you get a couple of keycaps. There you go. That's pretty cool. So straight off the bat, that tells me that this is both a Mac and Windows compatible. I love that about a keyboard. I personally use a Mac specifically for work, so I always try to get keyboards that have keycaps geared towards Mac. If you're a Windows user, you have your Windows keycaps there, so that's pretty cool. So that's everything that you get inside the box. It's a pretty decent amount, kind of your standard stuff. So I'm going to put this aside, and then we're going to bring the keyboard over, and we're going to talk about everything that she has to offer. All right, so I want to kind of talk a little bit more about this dust cover. I'm excited about this. First of all, this is a really big keyboard. It's the first thing I'm noticing straight off the bat. It also has obviously a very unique shape. So I'm pretty sure trying to find a dust cover for this specific keyboard is going to be hard. So it's great that they actually included this. That's a win on my part. So this particular keyboard is actually hot swappable, which is great to see. This is also gasket mount, so that's awesome to see on this end. And it also has sound absorbing foam, which is great. So the material of this case is actually ABS plastic, which is great. You can see that she is pretty much plastic all across the board. She has good pads. You can see that there is kind of like a silver plate here. You can see that I have some of my fingerprints on here, which is great, but all good. She also has risers, which is great. She has a small one and the bigger one, which is awesome. So you do get your usual connectivity. I feel like a lot of keyboards come this way. You have your USB-C, you have your little dongle there, and then you also have Bluetooth compatibility, which is awesome. You have the ability to switch this between Windows and Mac. As I said before, this is both Windows and Mac compatible, which is great. Battery capacity on this is actually 8,000 milliampere hour, which is great. You do get RGB lights with about 21 different effects. This is a pretty big keyboard. It will take a good amount of space on your desk. If you're not used to using full mechanical keyboards with numpads, it's probably going to take a lot to get used to because this space here is pretty big, which is not part of a usual mechanical keyboard. But just to kind of give you good measurements on this, the length of this is 43.5 centimeters or about 17 inches. The width of this is about 15.6 centimeters or about 6 inches. And then the height of this is about 4.3 centimeters, which is about 1.6 inches. So just to kind of give you reference there. The also really cool thing about this keyboard is that they do sell a wrist rest specifically for this keyboard for the Feker Alice 98, which is awesome because, again, kind of going back to what I was saying before, this is a pretty big keyboard. It has a unique shape. So trying to find a wrist rest compatible with this keyboard is probably going to be really hard. So the fact that they created its own wrist rest, that is awesome to see. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the actual keycap. All right, so I actually really like these keycaps. They're pretty. They have that retro feel, which is usually what I like to go for when it comes to keyboards. These are PBT MDA profile keycaps, which are actually my favorite. I feel like MDA keycaps always sound pretty good in my own opinion. They look really nice. They look clean. I love the color layout. The lighter keycaps kind of match the actual color of the keyboard, which is great. And then you kind of have those darker accents, which I absolutely love. I do want to point out one weird thing that I think another person also pointed out in this particular keyboard, and that is the typo on this particular keycap. Not the best thing to see for a $200 keyboard, to be honest, but I might actually end up switching this to something else because I don't think that's actually really nice to see, in my opinion. But other than that, I think the keycaps are really pretty. All right, so let's talk about these switches. So these are actually Kale Box Winter tactile switches. They are this very pretty light blue, as you can see on the bottom. They are shine through with amazing RGB lights. These are also pre-looped, which I'm excited to hear how this actually sounds. It does come with a 38 gram actuation force and bottoms out at 52 grams. All right, so let's talk about stabilizers. I don't think I've ever seen stabilizers this color. I've always seen them either black or white, but this is a pretty color, kind of sticking to the theme of the actual keyboard. So these stabilizers are decently looped, which I am excited about because that means that I don't have to do anything on my own, at least not yet. And the spacebar actually sounds really good. Which I am super excited about. Next, let's check out the RGB lights. They actually look pretty good. Multiple different functions and effects. Let's now move over to the moment that we've all been waiting for. What does this keyboard sound like? I do want to say that it's going to take me some time to learn how to type on this keyboard, so please don't judge my typing, but I think it sounds really good.